Hi. Today we're going to be checking out the plugin called Jura from Air Music Technology on the AKAI Force. So this plugin is basically a recreation of the legendary Roland Juno 106. However, it's got a little bit of a twist to it. It's got some features added to it. Nothing that stops it from being a really good reproduction of the original synth, but just some things that add to it that don't get in the way that you can use to make it more versatile, a little bit more modern, and just give you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can design in terms of sound on this. Hi, my name's Joe. If you're new here, then welcome to the channel, and if you're already a subscriber, then welcome back. It's great to see you again. I think the best way to do this is just to start walking through some examples of patches. So we'll design a few patches, and I'll kind of talk through the controls as we go through them, and I think you'll enjoy this time. So let's get into it. So we're here on the init patch, and one of the things I really like about Jura is, it's a fairly simple synth, and they were able to put a lot of the really useful controls right here on this main page, so you don't have to do a lot of jumping around. I mean, we will be moving around to different pages, but there's enough here on the main page to really get kind of the meat of your sound in there. The place I like to start, and I think we're going to start with a nice fat bass patch. So we'll start with the oscillator section up here, and this is just a one oscillator per voice synth. So that said, you've got your choice of a few different waveforms, and you can use them in combination. So we've got the saw wave, or you can use a square wave. And you've got this sub, and in order to hear this, you have to actually turn this up, the sub level here next to it. And you can use these in any combination. So, for example, we can use the square wave or the pulse wave and the ramp wave together. So for this bass patch, I think what I actually want to do is use all three of these. I want to make it really nice and fat. So you've also got some controls for your filter up here. We've got the cutoff control right next to it. So we can go ahead and start to sweep this cutoff up and down. So that sounds good. We can also change the filter envelope depth. Now we've got two envelopes here, envelope 1 and envelope 2. And by default, everything, both the amplitude and the filter envelope are tied to envelope 1. The original Roland Juno only had one envelope, so that's kind of how it worked. We do have a second envelope here that we can use, but in this example for the bass patch, I think we can just stick with the one envelope and we'll be fine. So let's go ahead and we'll turn this envelope amount up some so that we can hear it. And if we come over here to page 2, we can maybe turn the sustain down some. I think maybe we can bring that cutoff down some more for this patch. And let's maybe bring that release time on the envelope up a bit too. Make it ring out for a little bit longer. So, like I mentioned, the original Juno just had one oscillator per voice. And this is still the case here, although we've got some tricks up our sleeve that we can use to kind of thicken this up a little bit. So let's take a look at the voice tab and see what we can do there to make this bass patch sound a little bit bigger and fatter. So if we come over here, we've got three options on the voice tab. We've got just this one, which is either polyphonic or just kind of your normal mode of operation. We've also got this thing called unison and a thing called chord. So if we go into unison mode, what that does is stacks multiple voices on top of each other, and we've got this detune control then that we can use to kind of change the tuning of each individual oscillator that is stacked. So if you listen to it right now, it's much thicker, and that's probably a little bit too much for me in this case, so let's bring that detune amount down some. I think I like it right about there. This bass patch is already shaping up nicely. You can already hear it starting to come together. I think the next thing I want to do is maybe just add just a touch of like a room reverb to it. So let's go check out the reverb, which also wasn't present on the original Juno, but they've added a nice reverb unit here. So if I come over here to this chorus and effects tab, the third one here is the reverb, and we just turn it on using this button right here. And you're going to hear that even in the init patch, the reverb is pretty big. So I think let's make some adjustments there. We can go ahead and probably turn this pre-delay off. I don't think I need that for here. And let's maybe turn this decay amount down some. This is how long it takes the reverb to decay. We'll leave that at 2%, and we've also got a wet-dry mix control here. You can still hear even at 15%. This is sounding pretty big. So I think that sounds pretty good for a room reverb. Here's with it off. And on. And I think it's really good. Let's see what happens when we sustain a note now. So I think as a finishing touch on this, what I'd like to do is have just a little bit of vibrato, but only when I've held the note down for a little while. So let's go wire up our LFO. So if I come over here to the DCO LFO tab, we've got an LFO here, and you can see that there are a few things we can do with it. One thing, we can go change this LFO up here to affect the pitch of the DCO. So this is this control here, LFO pitch modulation. Let's go ahead and turn that up. That's probably a little bit much, but let's leave it there just until we get things kind of dialed in a little bit more. Down here on the LFO, we've got our choice of shapes. So let's see, maybe either a sine or a triangle I think would sound good here. Here's a sine. And here's a triangle. I think I prefer sine just a little bit in this case. We can also adjust the LFO speed if we want to. I actually think that sounds pretty good. The other thing we've got are these delay and ramp controls. So with the delay, we can change the onset of the LFO so that it doesn't really start kicking in until you've held a note down for a while. And that's exactly what we want here. So let's bring this time up. And let's wait for maybe about 0.6 seconds before that LFO kicks in. Maybe even a little longer than that. Great. And now I just think that the effect is too strong, so let's turn down this pitch modulation amount. And there's a bass patch, quick and easy. All right, next, let's check out making a nice big thick pad sound, which is what Junos are really known for. So back on the init patch, I'm just going to start off, I think, with a saw wave for this one. And I think the first thing we can do here is start to shape the envelope a little bit. So we'll come over here and let's just give this a lot more attack. And a lot more release. A bit less sustain. And I think let's bring this cutoff down some. And let's give the envelope some amount. So one of the things that the Juno is really famous for are these chorus effects. That was the only effect on it at the time, but it has a couple of really special choruses. So let's see what this sounds like on here. Here's the first one. Here's chorus number 2. You can turn them both on at once. For this, I think we're just going to go with chorus number 1. And we can adjust the mix on this. That sounds good. I think let's give that filter some movement. So we'll come over here to the Filter Envelope tab, and let's just turn up this LFO amount. So VCF LFO amount. Just a little bit right there, maybe 5%. And let's come and adjust the speed of this envelope. It's way, or this LFO, it's way too fast for me right now. So we'll just adjust this speed control. I think the other thing we might want to do with this envelope is give it just a little bit of keyboard tracking. So we'll do VCF keyboard amount. And maybe let's just adjust the cutoff down just a little bit more. All right, another thing we can do, since this only has one oscillator, let's bring the volume up on this a bit. We can turn this analog control up. This is really subtle, but it does kind of vary things a little bit from voice to voice. Great, let's add some reverb to this. So we'll turn the reverb on here and come over to the reverb tab. For this one, I'd actually like it to be really exaggerated. So let's turn this decay up amount quite a bit. And we'll turn the reverb mix up quite a bit, make it a lot stronger. Another really cool thing they've done with this in the reverb section, they've added a pitch shifter in the feedback path for the reverb, so you can get some really cool shimmering kind of octavey effects in here. So let's add some of those. So we've got our octaves control here, right there. We can add some feedback here to the octaves. And I think let's add some delay to this as well. So we'll turn on the delay, come back over to our delay tab, and let's just see how it sounds out of the gate. Sounds beautiful to me. I think I'm going to call that one done. So there's a pad, quick and easy. If this video has been helpful for you at all today, I'd really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. Thanks for that. And last but not least, let's check out making a lead sound with Jura. So again, we're back here to the init patch. And let's see, I think for this one, let's just start off with a saw wave. And that's what we hear right now. And if we come over here to the voice properties, I think again, let's try this unison mode and just turn this detuning down quite a bit. Just to thicken things up quite a bit, and we can turn this polyphony down to, let's make this legato. And let's turn glide mode on for, I think, legato, and we can adjust this glide time. And if we come back over here to the filter envelope tab, so you can see for the VCA, we've got these three options here. Normally, like I said, envelope 1 controls both the filter envelope and the amp envelope, but we can actually split them out and make envelope 2 control the VCA, and envelope 1 will still control the filter, obviously. So let's split these up in this case. We can go ahead and come here to the second page, and let's just make some adjustments to envelope 2, which will be our VCA. I just want to soften that up just a little bit and maybe reduce this decay time. And bring the release up just a little bit. And so I think let's make some adjustments to the filter as well. We'll bring the cutoff down. And let's give the filter envelope some amount. We can add a bit of keyboard tracking here as well. And I think let's give the filter some resonance here in this case. And let's try to add some saturation to this as well. So I think, again, let's add some chorus to this. For this one, I think let's try the chorus too and see what that sounds like. And that sounds good. I think the mix is kind of high here. Let's bring this down. I just want this to be kind of subtle for this one. And we have this option to add noise to the chorus as well. I think that sounds pretty good. Maybe just a little more chorus. I think we can bring the volume up on this one, as well as the analog feel. All right, let's add some delay to this. So we'll turn on the delay here and come to the second delay tab. And I think for this one, let's kind of center up this left-right ratio, bring it pretty close to the middle, but maybe just a little bit off. And maybe change this decay time. I think if we slow this down a bit, maybe like quarter note triplet. And let's see here. I think we can adjust the filter. I think we can adjust the delay feedback resonance and frequency. So let's maybe bring the frequency down some. Can probably bring the feedback up on this a bit. I think I do want to adjust that attack envelope just a little bit, make it just a little bit softer. So let's, that's envelope number 2 here, we switched it to. Just take some of that hard edge off of the attack. what else here? I think we can bring up the volume just a little bit more on this one. And I think let's add a little bit of reverb to this too. That's maybe a bit strong. Sometimes this reverb feels really strong to me in some patches and others not so much. So definitely a nice reverb, but kind of interesting to get it dialed in. We'll bring the mix down. And I think I'd like to add just a little bit more low end to this. So let's come back here and add just a little bit of this submixer in here by turning it on and bringing up the level. And I think I'm happy with that patch. So there's a simple lead for you. It's quick, so fast to design things with Jura, and it's pretty capable if you go through the presets of creating just so many sounds. And once you get familiar with the controls, I think that you're going to find that you can, have this up and running in no time and be able to kind of dial in your custom patches or adjust the factory presets just really quickly to make them fit within your songs. That's what I've got for you today. My name's Joe. I'll catch you next time.